Every minute is about a week long right now as we wait for him to walk free.
An American mother waits for the return of her son, jailed for years in a Syrian prison. The Austin Tice family hopeful for a positive resolution to their son's case following the dramatic fall of the Bashar al-Assad regime in Syria. It took only 10 days for the Assad dynasty to crumble. After 50 years of ironclad rule, the brutal regime, which took hundreds of thousands of lives and forced millions to flee Syria, fell as Islamist rebel forces advanced. Bashar al-Assad fled the country to exile in Russia. The fate of Syria changes the balance of power in the Middle East and has ramifications for the Christian communities who remain. Reporter Mark Irons sets the scene.
What happens next in Syria now that the brutal regime of Bashar al-Assad has crumbled?
احنا شعب اليوم الشعب السوري حر والحمد لله راح نضل احرار خلصنا من المجرم الكلب بشار الاسد وطاغيته.
First, there were signs of elation in Damascus earlier this week after rebels captured the capital. They entered the city with ease as Assad fled to Russia, where he received asylum. The rebel group that took control, Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, or HTS, is classified as a terrorist organization by the U.S. The group branched off from al-Qaeda years ago and promises not extremism, but a more moderate form of leadership. For now, it's unclear what a future Syrian government might look like or who would ultimately lead. On Sunday, President Joe Biden shared the significance and uncertainty of the moment.
It's a moment of historic opportunity for the long-suffering people of Syria to build a better future for their proud country. It's also a moment of risk and uncertainty.
President-elect Donald Trump sharing his thoughts on social media, saying, "Syria is a mess, but is not our friend, and the United States should have nothing to do with it. This is not our fight. Let it play out. Do not get involved." But along with the U.S., a number of countries do have an interest in what happens next, including Israel, Iran, Turkey, and Russia. Following Assad's ouster, America carried out airstrikes hitting ISIS targets in the central part of Syria. Lloyd Austin, the U.S. Secretary of Defense, explained why he thinks it's important to continue deterring what's left of the terrorist organization following the fall of Assad's regime.
Elements in the area, such as ISIS, could try to take advantage of this opportunity and regain capability.
About 900 U.S. troops have remained in Syria following the defeat of ISIS in 2019. Meanwhile, this week, Israel carried out hundreds of its own airstrikes on former Assad regime military and suspected chemical weapons sites. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says Israel doesn't want the weapons to get in the hands of any extremist who could pose a threat.
We will not allow any hostile force to establish itself on our border.
Despite Netanyahu's reasoning for the airstrikes and Israeli claims of only operating in a disputed buffer zone territory on the border with Syria, the United Nations Special Envoy to Syria expressed concern with Israel's actions.
Israeli movements and bombardments into Syrian territory. This needs to stop.
Moving forward, what will life look like for those living in Syria and the many Syrian refugees who may return after they fled their country during Assad's reign? The rebels who easily advanced into Damascus claimed they will respect the rights of all people, including women and religious minorities. U.S. officials say they will monitor HTS to see if the group stands by its claims.
We're going to judge HTS by its actions, as we will judge every group inside Syria by their actions. And one of the foremost things that we want to see protected in Syria are the rights of religious and ethnic minorities.
I think everyone is waiting to see how they will treat these communities.
Nadine Menza, the president of the International Religious Freedom Secretariat, is concerned about religious minorities, including Christians, in the region. In the northern part of Syria, along the border with Turkey, an area controlled by the U.S.-backed Kurds, she says religious minorities face threats from Turkish-backed forces.
This environment has created a dangerous situation for some religious minorities, especially now as we're seeing Turkey bomb the northeast to back these Islamist militias that are going in the northeast and really tend to target the religious minorities there.
Quanto sta avvenendo in Siria in questo momento
From the Vatican, during his Wednesday audience, Pope Francis called for peace and unity in Syria. On X, he said, "I pray that the Syrian people may live in peace. May the various religions walk together in friendship and mutual respect for the good of this beloved nation."
As you see now in Syria, what's going to happen?
At the Vatican, Cardinal Claudio Gugerati is prefect of the dicastery for the Eastern churches. He worries about many of the Eastern Catholic churches with ancient roots throughout the Middle East and minority Christian communities today, including in Aleppo, the first major city in Syria that rebel forces captured before marching toward Damascus.
In Aleppo, we have 6 Oriental Catholic bishops. 6. It means that a presence of the church there, of our church, is extremely significant. And what's going to happen now?
Besides Christians, it's a question Syrians of all backgrounds might ask as they reflect on the past. Under the Assad dictatorship, dissenters were dealt with harshly, imprisoned and tortured. Hundreds of thousands were killed, and the regime faced international blame for using chemical weapons. Earlier this week, outside Damascus, video showed people flooding a notorious prison once used by the regime. They hope to find loved ones, many of whom went missing years ago. Another video shows a man who identifies himself as Travis Timmerman, an American who says he entered Syria on a Christian pilgrimage, but was held a prisoner for months. The U.S. Secretary of State says they're working to bring him home, and they're working to find Austin Tice, a journalist who went missing in Syria years ago. Mark and Deborah Tice, who have shared the importance of their own Catholic faith, hope they will soon reunite with their son Austin.
We're asking anyone who has the ability or comes in contact with Austin to help bring him back home to us safely.
In 2012, while reporting on the civil war in Syria, Tice went missing. This week, President Biden expressed hope to bring him back home. Mark and Deborah have said a significant source has assured them Austin is alive and well. They say their son is resilient.
Austin also has that deep faith, and so he knows that his time will come and he will walk free.
Mark Irons, EWTN News in Depth.